Coming in hot.
Hello, all of you beautiful people. How is everyone? Good? I sure hope so, because I can't hear a darn thing you just said to me. Anyway, welcome to 4+. I am Mr. Dr. Professor Ratio, or just Mr. Ratio for short. I have thrown Mr. Plus overboard for the time being, and I am taking this ship and all of you on an adventure to a land both fair and square. Minecraft. No, not that version. This version. The Garden, a Minecraft horror short created by the talented Marcus Yu. The Garden is the second project created by Marcus, the first being him, which we have already covered, so go check that out if you haven't, and go show Marcus some support and love because these works are truly unique and well crafted. But The Garden centers around a group of Illagers making a trek to the Pale Gardens in search of a life-altering substance. But they do not know what awaits them in these lands. So, get some popcorn and snacks, kick back, and relax because it's gonna be a hell of a time. Our story begins with a storm and a strike of lightning in the forest on a tree. This births a strange glowing portal from the center of a tree, and from this portal of energy, some spills out, and we get a Dr. Manhattan construction of a tall, tree-like golem thing. For someone who's not a Minecraft nerd, we have just witnessed the birth of a mob called a creaking, and a creaking heart that has spawned in this tree. After a sick-ass title card, we cut to a group of Illagers roaming the dark forest with torches in hand. They come across the creaking heart tree, and one of them remarks how the resin shall be bountiful. The leader of the pack begins to command his comrades to start gathering the resin. Suddenly, the torches go out. Gulp. The Illagers are startled to say the least, and they try to get their torches back on, but one of them remarks, "What the hell?" And then we hear it. The roar of the creaking we saw in the beginning. And we can only hear the carnage that ensues. Bones snapping, screaming, flesh ripping apart, and then as quickly as it started, silence. One of the Illagers turns his torch back on, and he is greeted to the sight of nothing, just the dark forest and the small flickering lights in the distance. Then, the creaking creature rises from the ground and lets out a blood-curdling roar, and our main man books it out of there. The Illager sprints through the dark forest, with only the torch providing some light, and we can hear the creaking running behind him. Then, the Illager trips and falls, and he turns on his back to see where the creature is, and at first there is only darkness of the forest, but then footsteps can be heard getting closer. The Illager looks in horror as the creaking can only be heard at this point. Then again, a moment of silence. Oh well, maybe it went away. Oh god! This frickin' thing is leaning in for a kiss, almost. It doesn't kill the Illager. It just sits there, menacingly. Then, as quickly as it arrived, the creature gets the Spider-Man treatment and disappears into a dust, leaving the Illager alone again.
Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
The Illager gets back up and sprints back to his camp. He heads for one of the many tents pitched, and as he arrives at the entrance, we get introduced to our next character, Alvis. Alvis is confused why the Illager is back so early, and the Illager tells him that everyone is dead. Again, Alvis is confused by what he means, and he explains the creature that was guarding the resin killed everyone like pigs, and they need to leave. Alvis complains that he can't leave, he barely has the strength to move, which makes sense given the bandages on his head. But, Alvis my guy, if you stay here, you are cooked. Like Gordon Ramsay making a beef Wellington level of cooked. The Illager is correct by telling Alvis, damn his fever, and they need to leave or they will die like everyone else. Alvis pleads with the Illager to wait since he has no strength to move. The Illager coldly responds to stay then, that he would rather walk the plains of the Nether than be stuck in this nightmare. Alvis continues to plead with the Illager to wait for him, but the Illager says either only one of them dies, or they both die by staying. Alvis then reveals, by removing his boot, that his foot is being consumed by wood. The Illager stares in horror as Alvis pleads one last time to help him, and to wait for him. Personally, if it was me, I would just say screw it, and dip at this point. Bro, he's already infected with whatever the hell is wrong with this forest garden. His foot's gonna get worse, and knowing our luck, he'll just turn into a creaking himself. But we then cut to the Illager digging through a chest for a bit before Alvis asks what he's doing, which he explains there were once some regeneration potions stored somewhere. The Illager finds an almost empty potion bottle and slams his fist in frustration. He hands the potion to Alvis and says it's better than nothing, essentially, and he's gonna go pack the rest of the resin and they'll leave first thing in the morning. The Illager heads to a tent and picks up some spilled resin from a bucket. And he has this Gollum Lord of the Rings moment with a piece of the resin before resisting the urge to snort it, and he dumps it into a container. Later that night, Alvis walks out of his tent to the edge of camp, and he stares down the dark forest, raising his arms and proclaiming his life force shall be yours as your eternity is mine. His eyes have that glow that the other Illager had when he was goleming it to the one piece of resin earlier. The dark and silent forest only stares back at Alvis, so he covers his eyes and proclaims, "Come, eternity." Come. The other Illager walks out behind Alvis to see what the hell is going on, and he stares in horror as a giant tree hand slowly emerges from the dark, reaching toward Alvis. Alvis, still with his eyes covered, continues to yell for eternity to come, and the resin he shall devour. The Illager stares in horror at the scene unfolding before him, and the creaking creature slowly comes into view behind him, also watching the scene unfold. The Illager begins to cry as Alvis screams "devour" over and over again, and we get a cut of what is happening to the Illager and the creaking. It's not pleasant to look at. Alvis begins to secrete an unknown liquid from his mouth and eyes as he screams into the void, and then cut to the Illager waking up. Well, it seems like it was all just a dream.
You mean a nightmare?
Mr. Minos, I completely forgot you were here, my guy. My apologies. Do you want to take over for me? I need to take a piss.
Well, if you're scared, don't you worry. Mr. Minos is here to save you and this video. Anyways, we see our main man, whom I'm going to name Rodrik, waking up in a fright, only to find Alvis is no longer in his tent. Alvis is in the woods with some amber in his hands as he speaks in riddles before consuming the substance. Rodrik approaches with an axe, in shock at the scene, before he scolds him for his actions. Alvis claims he is pissing, which prompts Rodrik to talk about how this place is messing with them, questioning how all of this is even possible. The plan is to leave today. We cut to later with the two around a fire as Rodrik explains their supply situation, that being they got 3 days worth of rations, just short of 4. Alvis's foot, meanwhile, is still recovering as he laments the fact the potion being half empty, or half full depending on your philosophy. Alvis, however, is afraid to return home, believing they will be punished for their mediocre work. Rodrik, however, says he can eat a dick with the shit they've seen, as Alvis fears more people being sent in their place, concluding this expedition was doomed from the start. It was basically a suicide mission, and they were the only ones who didn't know. Rodrik, however, is ready to move, but Alvis is so cold, but he feels alive. He wants to make more fire with wood, so Rodrik cuts off Alvis's foot, and I'm just kidding. He goes to punch some trees before finding a flower in the woods before he's met with our creature again. Some shadowy characters, who kind of look like the BTs in Death Stranding, appear in the sky. Rodrik is, of course, shocked and runs back to the camp, finding Alvis lit the crate on fire and has this weird glow in his eyes. Rodrik is angered, as Alvis claims the garden is offering them a place to live. Rodrik claims he has doomed them, while Alvis counters with them being offered a chance to help the garden with their lives. It's now an Extreme Rules match, with Rodrik versus Alvis. Rodrik, however, leaves him to find the resin is gone, so he comes back with an axe demanding answers. Alvis only speaks in riddles yet again, before covering his eyes. Alvis awakens to see Rodrik has tied him up, but he explains there is no escape. Alvis believes the forest is offering a merciful and meaningful death, and refusal will only lead to a painful end. Rodrik basically flames him, saying he's never seen combat and is an idiot for letting this dark lord twist his mind. Alvis still pleads for Rodrik to listen and accept the forest's offer, which leads to Rodrik in a rage choking him. Alvis's eyes pull a starlight, and he punches him off. Alvis claims they cannot leave, as this is their fate. They have quite the climactic fight with their fists and the axe. You know, this feels a lot like a certain movie starring Green Goblin and Batman, right down to the axe.
Fortnite.
Alvis gets the upper hand and grabs his weapon of choice, the deadly tree branch. He claims the garden has no more mercy and goes to the KO, but Rodrik hits the fatality shot. Talk about a jawbreaker. Alvis, however, explains that the night of the attack, Rodrik never made it back to camp. The garden has essentially locked him in a dream world. Kinda like that god-awful part in Dragon Age Origins where you're trapped in the Fade. God, fuck that level. Anyways, Rodrik calls Cap, but Alvis asks him, how can he be sure? Rodrik asks what even Alvis is. He explains he is Rodrik, the part of him begging for mercy and wanting to wake up. Alvis is literally his life force. He tells him to destroy the creaking heart, and Rodrik axes him off. We see Alvis's head is basically cracked open like an egg before some kind of substance falls from his face. It pools on the floor, and we get this oh-so-lovely image. Well, would you look at that, a new sleep paralysis demon has been unlocked, I guess. He'll sit right next to Gabriel when I go to sleep tonight. He tells him to wake up as the video is only halfway done. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man, this shit is getting too heavy for me. I still haven't finished the season of Peacemaker, so I'm gonna let Mr. Dr. Professor Ratio handle the rest. Thanks for having me, and yeah, good luck to all of you. You're gonna need it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Minus. Anyway, the Illager wakes up screaming on the forest floor with branches and roots wrapped all around him. The Illager breaks free from the roots and branches holding him down, and he stares around at multiple other bodies of other Illagers. These ones were too late to save, unfortunately. Picking up an axe laying by one of the bodies, the Illager stares down in the distance, the creaking, its dark silhouette standing out amongst the trees. The Illager turns the other way and sees the creaking heart tree, the source of all this madness. He turns back to the creaking and he gauges how far it is. He turns back to the creaking heart tree and he starts sprinting towards it, axe in hand. The creaking roars and chases after him, quickly catching up before he can make it to the tree, and slams him away into a nearby tree trunk. The two fight and the creaking has the advantage in size and strength, throwing the Illager around like nothing, before pinning him to the ground. But the Illager is able to get a swing from his axe into the creaking's leg, injuring it, and he's able to get up. While it's down, he gives the creaking the old 1-2 Alvis treatment. The creaking's head begins to bleed, and a small portion of energy bleeds through and back into the creaking heart tree. The Illager notices this and he sprints towards the creaking heart again, lunging at it with the axe. The creaking runs behind to try and grab him before he can strike, but it is too late. The Illager lands a blow into the creaking heart, but suddenly he has a vision of his fellow Illagers, who have all the same face Alvis did when he died. Cut back to reality, and the Illager is blown back by the explosive force of the tree, and the creaking creature collapses to the ground in front of the Illager. It stares at him and tries to grab him before suddenly it begins to slowly fade away like it did in the beginning, but not as quickly as before. As it lays dying, the creaking groans and cries as its face begins to crack open, slowly prying apart to reveal the true face underneath: pain. The creaking lets out one last roar before exploding into the magical dust, leaving the Illager in peace again. The Illager gets up, tired but victorious. He heads back to the camp, and he finds the box that Alvis had burned earlier, in the dream, but here it is burned in reality. Strange. He collapses to his knees, crying. But his attention turns towards Alvis's tent. He walks in and we only see a hand slumped on the ground near the bed, with some flint and steel lying next to the hand. The Illager picks it up and stares at it before turning his attention to the bed, with more tears welling in his eyes. The remains of Alvis are shown, his body rotting and consumed by the garden. The Illager exits the tent and walks away from it. He turns back towards Alvis's tent, now being consumed by flames. The flames grow and begin to spread to other tents and the rest of the garden and forest. The Illager calmly says, "Awake, comrades." As the fire spreads to more of the garden, he turns and sees a creaking in the distance watching him. The Illager again states for his comrades to awaken. The creaking roars as it is consumed by the flames, and we cut to a wide shot of an explosion, with nothing left of the creaking afterwards. The Illager turns his view back to the camp and begins screaming for his comrades to awaken again. He proclaims that they are going home. Freedom awaits them. He cries and collapses to the ground on his knees. Another creaking emerges from the garden, and multiple eyes of other creakings can be seen in the distance. The Illager continues to scream freedom as the nearby creaking roars. Just before the creaking can touch the Illager, Alvis's tent erupts, and a beam of light shoots into the sky, Avenger style. The beam of light appears to be a soul of some kind, given the angelic wings it has as it shoots away. The creaking looks at the Illager, and the Illager now has started to turn into Anakin Skywalker. He screams one final time the word freedom, and we cut back to a wide shot of the garden, from above as an explosion can be seen. As time passes, multiple other explosions happen across the garden, and after these explosions occur, more souls fly into the sky, released from the grasp of the garden. They are truly free now. Thus concludes the garden. Essentially, this Illager realized that there really was no true way out of this situation besides death, considering he would be punished or killed for returning back to his people empty-handed, or if he stayed in the garden, he would just be consumed eventually by another creaking heart somewhere else. So he burns the whole thing down, thus freeing himself from these two horrible fates. But also freeing the souls of all the other Illagers who have been trapped by other creaking hearts and creakings. Overall, this film is just like the first in terms of quality. Marcus knocks it out of the park with the charcoal, black and white art style, and realistic take on these Minecraft mobs and world. The lack of voices and still images build the suspense and dread, as each frame hangs on for just a little too long, leaving you guessing what's going to happen next. The music also ties everything together very well, and overall, it's a creepy and unsettling story, with some deeper messages than just a block game. Be sure to go check out the full thing for yourself and go show the creator some much-deserved support. I thank Mr. Minus for helping me out today, and I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let us know what you thought and if you have any other recommendations we should check out. If you've made it this far, I truly thank you, and I hope you had a good time. Be sure to go check out our other videos, our socials, our Discord, comment, like, sub, all that good stuff. Have a great rest of your day or night, and we shall see you all soon. See ya!
Chicken truck!